Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining today's webinar. We've got a few people coming to join us today, so great to see some familiar names in here as well and some new names. Welcome to today's session. So my name is Kat, and I'm going to be running through today's webinar with you. I'll give a formal introduction in a short second. Today's webinar is all about art of the possible, AI agents in action. So what we really want to show you by the end of today's session is some real life examples of agents that we're building with NHS trusts and the problems that those agents are solving. So it's going to be quite demo heavy today. We will be sharing the slides with you. We will be sharing the recording with you, so don't worry about that. And just in terms of a little bit of housekeeping, if you do have any questions throughout the webinar, please feel free to use the Q&A function that you have at the top of your Teams window. I have a colleague on hand, Jonathan Poole, who will be on support to answer any of those questions as we go through. If you want to, you can use the chat function at the top of your Teams window as well. And the chat function is quite useful if you wanted to make any comments or have a bit of a discussion while we're going through the webinar. We've got lots of NHS trusts on this call, and I feel like you learn from each other. What are you doing with agents? Have you had a look at it? Have you found any challenges with it? Have you found any benefits? Please feel free to share that in the chat window. I think everybody would appreciate learning off each other, and feel free to have that interactive discussion. So let's get started. My name mentioned is Kat, so I'm going to be running through the session. I'm the head of AI at CPS. And I'm also an MVP, and what that means is I spend my spare time blogging and speaking at conferences and nerding out about the technology. So it just means I'm a nerd, essentially. I love to grow my network. So you'll see a LinkedIn code just on there on the right-hand side, or if you search my name on LinkedIn, you can find me. I really want to connect with kind of like-minded people. I also post updates on what we're doing with other NHS trusts and what kind of new things from Microsoft is coming out. So if you did want to connect, please feel free to. In terms of, before I kick into some of the context around agents and some of the live demonstrations of what we've been doing with other trusts, I did have to do the obligatory who are we? And you'll probably notice that we have quite an unfortunate acronym, which is CPS. So that does stand for, I almost said Crown Prosecution Service. It stands for Corporate Project Solutions. So we are a Microsoft partner, and we implement Microsoft technology to government organisations around the UK. You'll see that we have all of the relevant badges on here. Our consultants are kind of skilled up in the technology. I focus on AI, which includes Microsoft AI technology. So that's Copilot, Copilot Studio, we do Power Platform and Azure AI services as well. Of course, we cover Copilot Chat and M365 Copilot. And what you'll see, and the one thing I always like to flag in this slide is you'll see at the top, we won last year, we won the finalist award for Microsoft Partner of the Year. So just to give you a little bit of context, there's about 5,000 partners across the world that submit awards for Microsoft, and we were one the top 3 for Copilot and agents, and that is basically us working very, very hard to develop really cool, impactful solutions for our customers across the UK. So really, really proud of my team for that. But hopefully that shows you we are in a good place. We know what we're talking about when it comes to the technology, is what we're trying to do here. And just to show you some of the examples of trusts that we've been working with and deploying solutions to, some of these customers, we are going to showcase some of the agents that we've started building for them, so you can see the real life impact and the real life use cases. But this slide really is just to showcase that we do understand the challenges within NHS and the different kind of trusts that you'll have, and also the different trusts on things like central tenant or not central tenant. So we're kind of well versed and understand how the technology can solve some of those challenges. The good thing that this kind of shows as well is that we do have repeatable use cases. So if we work with one NHS trust, we'll find something really impactful. We're always looking to share that with other trusts that we work with, because you'll have similar challenges. So you're not starting from scratch. So we can kind of hit the ground running when it comes to finding value. All right, so can I don't know if everybody can raise their hands or not, or pop in the chat. Who knows what agents are and has heard of agents? If you want to raise your hands or pop in the chat. We've got a couple of hands raised here, so there's a few not raised. Okay, so there's about majority of people yes, some no. Okay, that's helpful. Thank you. You can pop your hands down now if you want to. Thank you. So just to make sure we're all on the same page, for those who don't know what I mean when I say agents, we're used to, hopefully everyone's starting to look at using Copilot. So you're using either Copilot Chat or Microsoft 365 Copilot. So that is your personal AI assistant that you can go in and ask it to do things like, summarize my emails for me and catch me up after I've been on annual leave, or help me draft this policy document, or help me write this letter to a patient. You'll hopefully be using that for your tasks, saving you time and, impacting your productivity as a single individual. And that's great for Copilot. But the challenges that we see across the NHS are not just, and other organisations, and not just in the NHS here, but other organisations as well, is it's not just personal individual productivity and having to do lots and lots of admin and so on. It's actually processes and tasks that take a long time. So it's not just searching through my emails that take a long time. It's actually a long-winded process, of having to answer kind of specific queries about something, or having to do a particular process. And that's where agents come in. So agents are all about helping, not for your personal productivity, that's Copilot, but an agent is there for helping with your business process and your task. And they're targeted at more departmental savings. So Copilot's your individual productivity saving tool. Agents are more for your team and departmental, issues and challenges that you have, and saving you time on processes. I'll give you an example to put this into some context and show you kind of how agents work. So if you think about one I'll use that's quite common is project management. So in project management, we have lots and lots of tasks and processes that we have to do within project management. So you have things like risk assessments, you have things like budgeting, project planning, lessons learned, capturing the lessons learned. There's a whole bunch of separate little things that go into, project management. So what you could do is you could create an agent to help your project management team with risks, project plans, budgeting, lessons learned. But what you would do is you would create an agent for each of those tasks. So I would have an agent for lessons learned. I would have an agent for risks. I'd have an agent for planning. I'd have an agent for budgeting. I'd have an agent for resourcing. And you'll notice I haven't said we're going to create a project manager agent. And that is because agents work best when they are designed for a really specific purpose and a really specific task. To give you some context, Microsoft actually created a project manager agent, and that has 42 agents behind it working together, doing all those little tasks to create that project manager agent. So when we're going to show you some of our examples, they're not agents that are doing, 20 different processes. They're agents doing very specific tasks and addressing real challenges, but they're specific and they're very good at that task, and that's on purpose. You don't want to create one agent to try and do everything. That's not how it's designed. It's meant to be for specific things. You'll see the lines connecting all of these, though. You can have multi-agents working together to provide you with, that one agent. So that project manager agent, that's for me, I've got project manager agent and I'm talking to it and it's helping me do all the stuff. But behind the scenes, it's maybe 40 odd different things working together. So that's just to show you the concept. We like to say like one agent to rule them all is the front door agent. I'm a big fan of Lord of the Rings, as you know. I'm a nerd. I wanted to share in terms of the technology. So that's the concept of an agent. The technology, this slide looks terrifying. I know, please don't be scared. This slide is really just to show you the journey and what agents is turning into from a Microsoft perspective. We're not thinking about, agents as their kind of standalone, fragmented technology. It's turning into a platform. So what I mean by that is what you'll see is when we're building agents within an organization, you might be doing a proof of concept or a pilot and testing out a few examples and trying to measure it and figure out what you're going to do around governance and adoption and all of that good stuff, and learn how you're going to scale that out. But you have a lot of tools and capability within the agent platform to support you. And so what you'll see in the middle is you have the way that people can access and use agents. We've got accessing agents in Copilot. We've got the agent store, which has agents that are pre-built from Microsoft. I don't know if anybody's used the analyst or the researcher agent, the facilitator agent, that's what that is. You've got different ways to actually host agents. You have advanced intelligent layers within agents like Work IQ that's coming out. On the right-hand side, you'll see that you have an agent control system. So you've got things like Agent 365, and that's a platform where you can manage all the agents built in your organization. Oh, which one's being used, which one's out of date or not working. And then on the other left-hand side, you'll see we can develop very, very custom solutions within the agent platform. So this isn't to just list off a bunch of Microsoft terminology. It's to really show you that when we're talking about moving and embedding agents into the organization, we're looking at it as a platform, and frontier firm is probably what you'll hear a lot from Microsoft, but that's where you're utilizing all of the technologies in this platform and you're rolling out agents within your organization. You have people who manage agents in their day-to-day, work. That's the future of where we're moving to. So I'll share the slides with you so you have it, so you can see all the things that are available to you, but it really is just to show you that kind of technology platform layer. There is a lot that we can do with an agent and lots of tools available. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a couple of, let's dive into the demonstrations. That's probably why you're here. You want to see some cool stuff. So I'm going to show you some examples of agents that we're creating with NHS Trust. And you'll see on this slide, we're basically covering a spectrum of the different types of agents that you can create. So in the other slide, I showed you a whole bunch of technology, right? Technology to help you with agents. When it comes to the actual complexity of an agent, we can start really simple and we can build it out to be really complex. So you have three main types of agents that you can build in your organization. Your first one is a retrieval agent. So that's where you have, and I'll show you an example of this, but that's where you have an agent that is it's a chatbot that you can interact with. It's a little bit more than a chatbot, but the front end is a chat. And I can speak to the agent and I can ask it questions. So for example, you might have a HR policy agent where I can go in and I can say, hi, can you find me my policy on wearing jewelry to work? And the agent will go away, it'll look at your HR policies and it will pull back the information for you. So it's going out, it's retrieving, it's pulling back some of that information. And that just means I don't have to go and search for the policy myself. Maybe I don't know where it is. I can go and pester the HR team about where it is. But actually an agent is a great example of just being able to go and find it and pull back the summary for me. And we did build a HR policy agent that is a little bit more than a retrieval agent. It does that plus a lot of other stuff. So I'll show you that in this session today. Then you have task agents. This is where you can get your agent to do something for you. So you can get it to update a system, send an email. You can get it to, and I'll show you some examples of these as well, don't worry. But you can get it to upload a report to a Power BI dashboard. I can get it to send a Teams message. You can get agents to actually do tasks for you. And that's where it becomes a little bit more interesting for us because it's not just retrieving information, it's actually actioning things. And then the last one on there is where it gets really cool, which is autonomous. That is where you have an agent working by itself. So we were working with an organization and they have a kind of a customer service team, and they have emails that come through asking questions. And we basically created an agent that helps to read emails coming through from the public. It reads the email, it looks at the website or it looks at the policy information, and it automatically responds to that email, to that customer, writes an email back. And that's an example of autonomous. We're not going in and asking the agent to do anything. The agent's just handling all of the initial emails that are coming in, asking simple questions. We've done that with councils where it's asking about repairs. We've done it with charities where it's asking about volunteer processes, and those initial questions that you get, you don't need to spend lots of time answering it. The information is already there. So there's some cool autonomous agents we can build as well. I did see a question come about recording and slides, all going to be sharing with you after the webinar. We'll share it all, so don't you worry. Okay, so let's move on to some live demonstrations. And I wanted to try and show you some different ones and different ways to access them. So I'm going to show you some agents that are accessed through Copilot, the mobile, Teams, email, and some other examples as well. So we're going to try and share with you the breadth of agents and the capability. So this first one I'm going to share with you is a general manager, agenda builder. I was about to call it agent builder. That's not what it is. And this one is an example of an agent that we're building with one of our NHS trusts, and we're building it with them now. So this NHS trust came to us and said, our general managers carry a huge amount of operational responsibility. The general managers in the trust effectively are the people holding together the day-to-day performance of services together. So they're balancing things like patient demand, financial constraints, safety issues. They're basically the role that sits between clinical delivery and organizational governance and management. And a big part of their job is running a number and attending a number of large meetings. But these people are so critical to the trust that we were doing sessions with them, and halfway through the session, they turn around and say, right, we've got an alarm going off. We have to go and sort some beds out because they've not got enough beds, and we have to reorganize things and go and sort it out. So they're very, very critical members of staff, and saving any amount of their time is valuable, because then they're saving their time and actually able to help with some of those, operational and clinical issues that are coming in. So we sat with them and we were like, what's the thing that just takes you the longest? It's admin heavy. It's like it's just a pain that you have to do. And actually they were saying, okay, so a huge part of our job, we have to run and attend lots and lots of different types of meetings. And they're not just routine meetings, it's where operational decisions get made. And that could be running weekly operational reviews about, I mentioned how many beds you've got available within the ward. It could be escalation meetings if there's lots of periods of pressure. It's cross-service coordination meetings, working with community services, discharge, procurement, like the very high stakes, important meetings where key decisions get made. And the biggest pain point for them was actually preparing for those meetings. It takes a lot of time, and they need to bring together performance information. They need to identify the key issues that need attention, and they need to structure the conversation so that it's focused, because their time is so critical. When they go into that meeting, it has to be a case of, right, what's the decision that's made, what's the issue, and we need to solve it, we need to come up with a decision. It's very, very structured. And they have lots of different types of meetings that they have as well. So one of their requests was, could we have something that instead of joining the meeting, trying to pull together the information manually and create, the issues that we have to cover, they would typically do that early in the morning or late at night because they can't do it in their day jobs. Could we have an agent that sorts that out for us? Yes, is the answer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you an agent that we're building, which is through Microsoft 365 Copilot. And we're building it in Copilot Studio. And this agent is the agenda assistant agent. So what I can do from here is say I have in the back end, we've put in a whole bunch of different types of meeting templates, clinical meeting, HR meeting, operational meeting, quality meeting, procurement meeting, and so on. So all of those are templates of the meetings that they would have, and they would put those into the back end of the agent. So that's already set up for us, so we don't need to worry too much about that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask it to, I've got an operational meeting that I have to attend, and I have to prepare the pressures that we're going through. I have to create the agenda. I have to, fill out the attendees, and I have to do that for, 5 or 6, sometimes 10 or more meetings every single day. So you'll notice that I've got some starter prompts in here. So as a general manager, I could just click the button and it'll just start creating my agenda for me. So help me create my agenda. I've got an operational meeting. So this agent in the background is saying operational meeting. Okay, I'm going to go find the relevant operational template, and then I'm going to come back. And then what the agent's doing in this case is it's asking for some more detail around what your meeting is. How long is it? When is it? And so on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill out a quick couple of key points. So I'm going to say, right, the meeting is about, it's community services, it's 60 minutes, and we need to review the weekly performance. So I just have to put bullet points. I don't have to fill this out. What they would do is they would type it out in detail. The agent can fill in the blanks for you. I'm also going to say it's next Friday or let's say it's tomorrow at 1 p.m. My agenda assistant now is going to, help to kind of fill in the information, objective, let's say, decide whether to approve weekend cover. There we go. So my agent now is going to go in, it's going to say, right, I'm going to look at what the objective is, who's attending, and I'm going to create that format for me. Now, this I've actually put it into the Copilot chat, but the requirement for this NHS Trust is it's a document that you send as part of the meeting, and that document is stored in SharePoint and things like that as well. So actually, we've got it pulling through as a chat, so I can review it and I can ask to edit it. You'll see it's given me the template that I need to use, the next actions. But what I can also say are things like, is there anything else that I need to think about? Is there any operational pressure that we need to be reviewing? Have we got any issues with staffing times or waiting times or anything like that? And it'll say, great, here are some of the things that, we want to cover as part of this agenda. And what that will do is create a Word document for me. We're building it so it actually logs it and puts it into SharePoint, so they don't even have to worry about that. They just say, create it. Great, I've got it. We can go do this meeting, and it'll go and upload it directly for me. What we can also do is get it to upload the other end of the meeting where the key decisions were made. So the minutes, put that into the format and upload that as part of it as well. And this is something that you would think is really, really simple as a use case, right? It's something that's so simple, but for this organization and for these general managers, they were like, look, we do like 10 of these a day. And we're sitting in the morning trying to like manually fill in these templates of the decisions that need to be made and what we need to cover. And so could we, if we get something even just to automate that and save us a little bit of time, the impact is huge because we can spend our time on those critical decisions that are actually being made. I've just seen a quick question come through, so let me just open that up now. So the templates are, so what we're not using just Copilot for this is an agent. So we've designed this in Copilot Studio to specifically work with the Word templates. If you're using Copilot Studio, it works a lot better when it comes to using Word templates. So what this is templates from the general managers. These are the ones that they use and fill out on a daily basis. So they gave me all of the templates. We're putting it into Copilot Studio as a knowledge base, and we're designing the agent to follow certain steps and to ask certain questions and then generate a branded Word template, fill that out. So Studio is what we're using, not just Copilot. So the assistant, I normally put the requirements and I need to get that out of other AI in a format that I want. Do we need to create an agent? If so, what advantages it provides? So for this particular use case, you could use Copilot, but it's still quite manual. You still have to give it your template. You still have to prompt and type out, hello, please could you fill in this template with my agenda? Here's all my information that I want to create. Whereas this one is a lot quicker. It's already got all the templates and it's designed specifically for this purpose. It's not going to pull through, Teams messages if you don't want it to. It's not going to look at other stuff. It's just looking at these templates and the information that it needs for it. What we can also do is create workflows on the back of this. So I can say, upload this to SharePoint now for me, and it will go and it will actually go and task and upload it essentially. So this one in particular, it needs to be one click, easy to use, and something that's going to, they don't have to sit and remember how to prompt and remember how to do any of that stuff. They just don't have the time because they're so busy. So it's click a button, create my agenda. Here's the information, off you go, upload it and log it and sorted. So it's a time-saving aspect from that. All right, so that's a really simple one. I started simple. The next one I wanted to share with you is an agent that we've actually used within some of the clinical teams, but also with other kind of care teams in other organizations as well. So we've worked with councils, discharge teams, care teams across the board. And this agent is one that we've created with a couple of different organizations, and it's one that's able to be accessed on the mobile through Microsoft Teams. So I just wanted to show you something that's slightly different, so you can see a different version of an agent, because it is different to Copilot. Copilot's great for your personal productivity, but when it comes to doing a task that's repeatable, that multiple people use, an agent's a better tool for that. So I've got a recording for this because we love a live demo and we want to make sure that I don't have issues plugging in my phone to the screen. But this is an agent of scenario. So there's a scenario with a council that we're working with, and their care teams have to create lots of assessments, and that use case is transferable across other NHS organisations as well. So if you're looking at your care teams and clinicians and the amount of time that is spent around reviewing referrals and documenting assessments and preparing case summaries, it can be really effective, but it's also very time consuming. So the idea is that we're trying to reduce the amount of admin that these teams are having to do, the administrative burden. So for example, we've got community teams, discharge teams and coordinators. They receive huge amounts of referrals containing large amounts of information. So you might have patient histories, discharge summaries, lots and lots of supporting documentation. You might have a meeting with a patient or a meeting about a patient. There's transcripts involved in there as well. So lots and lots of information, and it's pulling all of that information into a specific format or a specific assessment. So let me show you an example of an agent that can help with some of that admin burden. So this is my mobile. You'll notice it's an Android, not an Apple phone. And what you'll see here is I've just opened up the Microsoft Teams app. So this Microsoft Teams app, I've just gone into my calendar. And what I wanted to show you here is not just the agent handling the admin side, but actually the recording of conversations and meetings. So in this case, I'm actually going to use my phone to help me record a conversation with a patient, and it's going to transcribe with consent, of course. It's going to transcribe it, and then I'm able to use that to put my agent basically to put stuff into an assessment for me. So the example that I shared with the council that we worked with was they use this in their social services and their care teams and their discharge teams. They will go and they will talk to a vulnerable adult or a child who's in the hospital and ask them how it's going and do an assessment, and then they have to go and put that into a particular format. So I just want to show you that it can work. And also this is using what's called the facilitator agent. So we're actually using an agent that's pre-built by Microsoft. And all I've done is I've created another agent that works with it together. So you can be creative with how you build out these agents. So all I'm going to do is hit this button at the top, which is a Meet Now option, and that's going to open up a facilitator agent. It's going to start a meeting, it's going to start recording, and it's going to take notes for me in the background. So you'll see that's the meeting notes that it's taking. I'm going to go into the meeting just to show you the facilitator, like how it looks. So I have this, I put it in the middle and I talk to, my patient or the person that I'm speaking to. So it works in person. What we tend to find, you see facilitators taking notes, so it's recording and it's taking notes in the background. What we tend to find is some patients will say, can you just pause this before, I don't want this bit recorded, and so you can mute it and it stops recording, and then you can unmute it and it will start recording again. Once I've finished with that meeting, I'm just going to hit the hang up button. And what that's going to do is it's going to close the meeting, and it's going to, of course, we've got our transcript, we've got everything that's automatically saved within Microsoft 365, so I don't really need to do anything else. It's there, it's recorded, it's done. What I'm now going to do in my mobile is I'm going to start a new Teams chat, just like you would chat with like a colleague or a friend. And I'm going to speak to my case note assistant. And this assistant is pre-built in the background. So I've given it an assessment template. I've asked it to summarize my notes in a particular format. So I've said anytime I ask for a note summary, I need it to be in simple language. I need it to be in a friendly way and bullet points and include these key sections. What we also realized was sometimes when you're building an agent, the agent will start to, it's trying to be helpful, right? So we asked it to summarize notes from a conversation, we'll call him John, a vulnerable adult. And John, we were talking about mobility issues. And the agent, when we were building it, it started coming up with its own narrative. So it was like, John mentioned mobility issues, which might be this, and it might also lead to this. And, we were like, oh my God, we don't want it to be doing that and making any decisions. We wanted just to summarize the meeting that we've had. So we actually plugged into the agent in the background and said, do not come up with your own narrative, be factual. If the information is not there, don't hallucinate, don't make things up, and make sure it's accurate and it's actually got evidence to back up. So you can build all of that in to the agent so it's specific. So I've just said, hey, so you'll see it's like a chat function that I'm using. And I'm going to say, in this case, for the demo, I'm just saying, summarize my last meeting that I've had. What I could say is I could say, can you summarize all the conversations I've had with this particular patient? Or if there's a case ID you want to put in, oh, we've had multiple meetings about this case. Can you summarize the last 2 weeks of conversations? Or can you summarize all of the case information about this particular patient or adult or service user? And it will do that as well. For this case, I've just said, tell me my last conversation for ease, but you can get it to look at multiple sources. What you'll see here is that it's pulled it into my format. It's got what we talked about, friendly summary, how things have been at home, what are the issues that are happening, and so on. This particular one that I'm showing you here was for a council, so it's a similar use case. It is a different industry. That's why it's more around like the social aspect of it in terms of the questions, but it would apply in the same way as collecting some of the information around patients. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, can you create my assessment for me? So again, what we've done is we've put the assessment template in the background of this agent, so it knows it always has to follow my CARE Act assessment template. So what you'll see here is it's actually going to generate my assessment for me based on the conversation. So you'll see here, it's got the tables, it's got the format, it's got all the questions, and it's answered those questions for me. And the important part you'll see in here that it said, it fills in the information. Yes, mobility issues mentioned, here's what was mentioned, but where it hasn't found anything, it will say not mentioned. And that's really important because sometimes with AI, it tries to be as helpful as possible and say, it wasn't mentioned, but what we typically see is this, and it'll fill in just made up stuff. And so we've designed it to specifically do that. And if you were going to use Copilot to help you do this, you could, and this is Copilot, it is a Copilot agent, but out of the box Copilot, you have to prompt it every time to not fill in the blanks. Do you know what I mean? Like it does do that because it is trying to be helpful. But the agent's already programmed to know that, so we don't have to prompt that every time. So what you'll see is I put it into the chat, and I can say edit it, update it, add this detail. What about the other meeting that we had? What about this file? Is this going to do anything to update the assessment? What you'll see is I've said put it into a Word document and upload it to my CSM. So I'm going to say put it into our Word template. That'll generate the template, and it will follow your branding. And then it will go and actually upload that to my case management system for me. Now, in this case, you've seen I've got, it's John Smith we're talking about, and, it's talking about this, and can you update it? Usually there would be an ID that we would include as part of this, because you might have more than one John Smith that you're working with. So, but we're integrating it into other systems, so it can, that task aspect, it's generating the assessments, creating the Word document, and then it's uploading it for you. So you don't even have to bother. It's just a quick prompt that you put in there. And just to give you some impact of this particular agent, so when we were working with the teams for the social care use case, the turnaround for assessments and generating that was 3 days, because they have 50 to do at one time. Takes a long time. They have to go in and talk to somebody and write their notes down, and then they go in and type the notes up, and then they put it into the assessment manually. And we've cut that down to a day's turnaround. And the impact of that meant that the patient could be discharged quicker. So that means freeing up beds in the NHS, and mental health and service. That person gets to go home to their family quicker, and their family gets that person home quicker. So it's something that's an admin task that is important to have humans doing it and actually reviewing it, but that admin side of it can be automated, and the impact of that is freeing up those beds and improving that service for that patient. So again, like the general manager's one, it's something that's so simple, but it has such a huge impact when you actually speak to these people and hear what they're spending their time on. So just wanted to showcase that. All right. The next one, I've seen loads of questions, and I'm going to come back to them because we're 10 past. So. And there's lots of, I think there's some questions on can it do this, can it do that? Because the technology, I showed you that slide with all the technology, it is so flexible that the answer is usually yes. We can get the agent to do this particular thing because of the amount of tools that you have for you. It's not just Copilot agents, it integrates with your whole Microsoft stack plus third-party tools and so on. So there is a huge amount available to you to customize and build what you need. So I'm going to show you one that we have created for an NHS trust last year, and this is the a HR scenario. So for this particular NHS trust, they had 7,000 staff members, and in 1 year, they had over 100,000 emails and calls going through to their HR team in 1 year. And they came to us and said, can you reduce that by 75%? So what we did was we said, let's create an agent to help answer some of those questions. But we didn't stop there. This agent is able to answer HR policies. It's able to book annual leave and find out how much annual leave you have left. It's able to work through chat and through an email. And it's able to raise tickets on behalf of someone and notify the HR team and escalate to the HR team. So I'm going to show you those steps. And I've got them in screenshots, so I can share this with you so you have the demo in the deck as well. I thought that might be a bit easier. So let's start with the simple one of asking about policies. Now, with this particular trust as well, and you might have the same issue where your policies are really, really nuanced. So there's a difference between asking about the policies cover race and culture and religion. So some of the questions might be around, can I wear jewelry to work? Great, the agent will go away to your HR policy and it'll find the answer. But then you might say, can I wear religious jewelry to work? And that's a whole different nuanced question. And so if you're going to use just Copilot for that, you'll probably see it doesn't actually understand the nuances, and we had to build something that was a little bit more intelligent using Copilot Studio. This agent was also built on the central tenant, that's the shared tenant for NHS trusts as well. So it works within the boundaries that central tenants have. If you are one of them, you hopefully know what those are. So let's have a look. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to say, to my HR agent, how much holiday have I got left this year? This agent's actually connected to our HR system and our rostering system and the place where the information is held. So this information is third party, but we can connect it to a third party system. In this case, what you'll see is it pulls through in a nice table. Here's your entitlement, here's what's left, and here's some of the pending requests that you have coming through as well. Now, in terms of the format of this, you notice like the care notes one was a specific format. We can customize what that is. It could just be an answer that says you have 10 days left. That's fine. For this scenario, we wanted a table with a bit more detail. So we've created what's called an adaptive card, which has lots of the details. So you can customize what that looks like. You can add branding, you can add, fun stuff on there if you want to. So it's all customizable. Once I've done that, what I'm going to say, because it's AI, it's not just going and finding the information and telling me. I can get it to think for me as well. So I can say things like, when would be the best time for me to actually take annual leave off? And because it's a large language model, it is able to answer questions outside of HR policies. If you want it to, you can turn that off, but then you have a very basic policy agent. So in this case, it said to maximize time off, here's when to book your holiday. Great. So it's also got the LLM feature within my agent. Now, of course, the task agent is able to do things for us. So I'm going to say, can I book April the 22nd off, please? And that's going to go and it's going to send a request. So that's the first point. So it'll go away, it'll send a request, and that can happen through however you want that to happen. So in this scenario, it's actually, we've set it to happen through Teams. So my manager will have a request that comes through and says, hi, you've had an approval request come through for this holiday. Do you want to approve, reject, or add a comment or ask more questions about it? That could be through your HR system. It could be an email, it could be a Teams message. You can just decide how that manager gets told the information. What I can also do is I can question it and then I can escalate. Escalation is very important because if I ask a question that you don't want the agent to answer, so if it's mental health, if there's negative sentiment, if there's something that's, it does require a HR person to come in and answer, you want to escalate it appropriately. So I want to, pull through my HR team if questions have come up. And I see some questions coming through there around integration, things like that. I'll cover that at the end. I'll just make sure I cover what I can cover. So in this case, I'm going to say, what's the notice that I have to give? And it said, based on this policy, here's the notice that you have to give to take holiday off. And I'm going to say, do you know what? I don't think that's right. And so can you raise it with HR, please? So the agent is able to identify either the person asking for HR. Can I speak to a person? Human, please. I want to talk to HR, raise it with HR. So it will understand that, however it's asked, and it will go away and raise it with HR. But it can also understand sentiment as well. So it can, if somebody asks something around, it's something to do with my mental health, we can say, right, we're going to triage that to HR. We're not going to answer that question. And I've just seen Harry's joined answering some questions in the chat. Harry built this agent for this NHS trust, so he's the best person to help support answer some of those questions for you. So thank you, Harry. All right, so what I'm going to do now is raise it with HR. Great. I'm going to request it with HR. The agent is actually working, it's integrated with ServiceNow. And so this is going to raise a ticket for us in ServiceNow and fill in the information and raise it to HR. Now, if you don't have a ticketing system for HR, that's fine. We can actually get it to email a HR inbox or Teams message, a group chat, or post a message in a channel if you want it to. There's different ways to actually get it to escalate. So it doesn't have to be a ticketing system. It can just be an email or a Teams chat that's pulled through. Another scenario of this is we're working with an organization, they use Dynamics for customer service. And so the agent is, emails and messages are coming through from the public, and the agent actually pops up on Dynamics as a chat function and says, hello, I need a human to talk to this person because they're asking this and I'm not able to answer. And so it's able to do that in Dynamics as well. So it's really flexible. All right, so what you'll see here, and just so David, I see your question. So every NHS trust is different. It might not be a leave request. In this scenario, we've shown you it has, but any request that needs to go to HR, payroll, issues, grievances, booking off maternity leave, anything that is a non-agent question can go to HR. So it covers all types of questions, not just leave. So I just saw that come in, so thought I'd cover it. So what you'll see here is I've actually logged, or the agent has logged a query with ServiceNow, and it sent me an email to confirm. So we've set it up and said, we want you to email the person to say you've confirmed that you've asked a question, and we've raised it with HR. Here's your ticket number. Do you want to have a look at it in ServiceNow? So what you'll see here is we've actually branded the email and we've got a little link to open your ticket in ServiceNow. So I'm going to click on that, and that's going to take me to all of the requests that I have. So I can actually look at this from a person who's looking to see if somebody's updated my ticket, but I can also look at it from a HR person. We were talking to an NHS trust who said, we want to have a system where we, as HR, we do get so many queries, we do need all of those requests in a platform, something like ServiceNow, where we can see what tickets we've been asked to do and we can go and edit them and so on. What you'll see here, and the reason I wanted to highlight this one was because the ticket has been created by the agent. So it's created the ticket, it's given it a number, it's put the collar, it's actually able to assign a category, so it's able to understand the category that it needs, the state, the priority level as well. So we have this with SLAs, it's able to actually flag like what SLA it should be or shouldn't be, and it's put the short description. So that's the agent that's filling all of that information out. So it's not having, no one's having to manually fill in this information, the agent's sorting that out for you. So you'll see my ticket's been raised, and of course it's a leave request, but it could be something, more serious that you might have to go to HR for. Whatever request it is, you'll see there that it's able to create that ticket and be addressed that way. So when I say the flexibility of the agents, what I'm trying to get across here is it's not just the answering questions about policies. You're able to integrate it to systems and get it to update things and do things for you. That's where it becomes a little bit more powerful. And you can make your agent available in multiple channels. So I've shown you examples of an agent in Copilot. So you open up the Copilot app and you click on your agent, you chat to it, great. Teams, so you can go into Microsoft Teams and you can chat to your agent, that's fine. We can also get it to be used through email as well. So you can have an agent that will help answer emails from people. I mentioned the customer service one, the autonomous agent, where it's reading an email, going away checking, and then it's automatically responding. So in here, I could email and say, hello, I'm a manager and I have performance concerns, maybe a more appropriate HR question, about someone I manage. What should I do? And what you'll see is the agent actually reads that request, and then it goes through and it actually pulls through a response. It looks at the policy, same with the chat version. It goes and looks at the policy and then it responds back and says, thank you for reaching out. And this, in terms of the format, we can customize exactly how this looks and the format of the response. Do you want it in bullet points? Do you want it in a nice little card? Do you want a link in there? Do you want a different color? Do you want a logo? However you want to brand it, we can brand it and customize it. This is for the purpose of today. What you'll see is it provides me a response. If you have performance measures, here's the policy, here's what it says. If anything's unclear, you can ask HR, and here's some of the links that we've got in there as well. What I can then do is I can actually reply to this agent, and I can have a back and forth conversation over email, but this is an agent that's doing it for me. So the HR team haven't looked at this yet. They don't need to, because the information's there and it can go and find it. And I can ask further questions and say, oh, great, thank you for that. But what meetings do I have to have with them? What letters do I have to send out? And the agent, of course, will instantly reply with, hello, thank you for reaching out. Here is the meetings that you have to have based on the policy information that I've been, pointed to. Here's what you have to do in terms of performance management. So you can have that back and forth. And actually, when I email back and say, do you know what, can I just speak to a person about this? Because actually it's a bit more complicated, fine, it'll go and escalate either through ServiceNow or a Teams message or an email, however you want them to escalate it, it can. But the idea is that you have questions. People don't like to go and find the information themselves. And they will. And with this particular NHS trust, HR got inundated with leave request questions. And somebody said, should they be asking that? Probably not, but it did go through to HR. Oh, what's this problem? A maternity leave policy, or what do I do about, the meetings that I have to do? Or what benefit system do we want to use? What's the, insurance, and all these questions that exist in their policies, but people do not want to go and look for a policy. And so just the amount of initial questions that the agent is fielding reduced it significantly from the 100,000, trying to reduce that by 75%, and just have the HR team focus on that, 25% that's really crucial, that does need their attention, is huge. And this is a scenario for HR, but any other team that deals with an influx of queries and questions, an agent can take most of those initial ones. They're not every single one, because obviously you don't want a person to do the questioning, but it just reduced the amount of time. And there was ROI that's come out of this as well in terms of time saving, the size of the HR team. So I think it was, a reduction in the number of queries that were coming in. I think it was like a six HR person, six people within a HR team, that amount of time, not saying that, that those 6 HR people are there and they're working on other things, but that amount of time was spent on initial policy questions that don't need a person to sit and answer. They can go and actually do proactive, activities and work on the things that matter. So hopefully that shows you a little bit. Oh, I did want to show you this actually as well. This is something that it's preview, but it's another aspect of this HR scenario. So what you're looking at on this slide, and we'll share these with you, this is Copilot Studio. So this is the tool that we use to build these agents. And what you'll see here is this is a profile manager agent. So we'll attach this to the HR agent, but it's to show you that you can actually get the agent, not just to raise tickets, not just to escalate and receive policy information, but we can get it to update systems as well. So in this scenario, what we're going to do is use this agent to update personal details in a HR system. For example, I want to update my address. I want to update, I've got a new bank account, I need new bank details, or emergency contact, I need to update that. Whatever personal details you need to update, you don't have to do it manually, you don't have to go to HR, your agent can do that for you. So what I'm going to do, what you'll see is this is the agent, we've built the agent, and you'll see the actions that the agent is taking in this big gap here. So that's what you're going to see in a second. On the right-hand side, I'm testing out the agent. So you're going to see the back end of kind of how it works. So I'm going to say, can you fetch my personal details? And again, when you publish this agent, you could be asking that question in Teams, in an email, in Copilot, however you want someone to use it. So what you'll see is it actually goes in and it's going to pull out my specific personal details. And again, that can be from whatever kind of database or location you have those personal details in. So John Doe, you can tell this is in preview and it's a demo. Here's your detail, your job role as a nurse, and your contact details are here. Do you want to update any of those details? And I'm going to say, can you update my emergency contact to Jack Blue? We're being very creative with the names on this demo, I will say. And it says, great, I understand that. And what's the email address of the contact that you want to update? So this is where the agent's a little bit smarter than just a manual tool going in updating a system. It's actually able to identify the emergency detail information that it doesn't have. So it's able to identify gaps. So what that means is if I say, great, here's the email, it could just end there and say, great, I've updated the email, but it's not doing that. It's identifying that, oh, I'm missing a contact number. So I should probably ask for that contact number. And so the agents come back and said, what's the contact number you want to add? So it's a bit smarter than just filling in information for you. It's identifying where information's missing and going back and finding it out and asking them. And again, this happens through email, this can happen through Teams and so on. And so I'm going to update my mobile number here, and you'll see, sorry, there's no other slide after this, but it'll update my contact number in here. And just wanted to show you that background of it's understanding the gaps that's missing in terms of the data that's meant to be filled out, and it's going back and it's able to ask it. So we've got 4 minutes left, and I'm happy we've got somebody joined who's just going through all the questions because I know we're running out of time. So Harry will continue answering some of those questions for you. But what we wanted to get across here is the flexibility of these agents and how a small scenario or a use case that you think actually, you know, it's a small piece that doesn't have a huge impact, actually it does. Freeing up those beds in the NHS, reducing calls and emails by 75% to the HR team, or even saving a couple of hours of a general manager's time from admin so they can go and sort out the critical issues within their wards is huge in terms of the capability of this. And these agents aren't massive and complicated to build. It really is doable, and we've done it and seen that impact. And one thing I did want to highlight in here was the way that we measure some of that impact is actually through a framework covering return on investment, return on employee, and return on customer. So we're building these agents out, but what we're also doing is we're identifying where it's helping with investment. So how much money is it saving? How is it impacting employee well-being? What about accessibility? What about the return on customer, the service? How is this impacting the people in the communities that we're serving and the patients and our reputation? So when we're measuring these agents, we're measuring them from those three elements, as well as, you know, it's cool, the tech can do some cool stuff, but it's the impact that's really, really important. And at CPS, we have to do our obligatory promotion here. We have pre-built agents. And what I mean by that is because we've gone and done this now with lots of different scenarios, there's HR, recruitment, assessments, agenda builders. There's a huge amount of backlog that we have of agents that we've already gone and built. So we have the brain of the agent. We know the impact of it. We've proven the impact. So that means it's easier for us to come in and develop those with yourself. So if you are interested in finding out what more of those agents are that we've built, or any of the ones today, then we can come and support you. And because we've already done it, it just means we've got a template that we can build on. So it's a little bit easier. It doesn't take as much time for us to implement it. And the good news is we're in a time period where you have Microsoft funding is still available until the end of June. It might finish before, so don't quote me on that. So get it before it runs out. But we can find out if you're eligible for Microsoft funding to help fund a proof of concept for one of these agents. So if you were interested in that, please scan the QR code and fill out the form. What we are also offering is a free discovery call. So if you wanted a call with me or one of my team just to go through where you are on your agent journey, what the next steps could look like. Again, if you scan that QR code and ask for one, we can set that up. But I've got 1 minute left. I'll see if there's any kind of key questions that haven't been answered. But I just wanted to say thank you so much for listening. I hope it has been helpful just to see some examples of what we've been up to and some of the capability of the technology. So thank you very, very much for listening. And I think most questions have been answered. Thank you very much, Harry and John, my wonderful assistants. Great. Yeah, I think most of them have been answered. We'll review it afterwards. If none have been answered, we'll come back to you. We'll share the recording and we'll share the slides. Again, thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your week. And I'll end the session there. Thank you, everybody.